areas, what might be most appropriate is to take the line just along the boardwalk frontage. Again, so that we have the ability to manage the boardwalk through the district, all the way down to Ventnor. And then as you head up towards Absecon Inlet, take that boardwalk idea and extend it all along Main Avenue. So now we have the entire Atlantic City boardwalk in the tourism district. If we extend that along Main Avenue up into the old Star and Scarwood Mills site, we could include that site and include the Gardner's Basin Park. Yes. We think that that would make a lot of sense, since especially Gardner's Basin is a place that a lot of people go to enjoy our waterfront if they're not on the beach. It helps connect to the Back Bay areas. And we have our dining there, which a couple of those restaurants are getting refreshed with some new ownership, which is really exciting. So we think that those modifications make sense. As we get into the questions and answers, I'd love to hear your thoughts. One last thought on the boundaries. If you think about public right-of-ways, it might make sense for CRDA to look at the major entry corridors into Atlantic City. So you look at Albany Avenue, of course the corridor is already included, but then you look also at connecting the beach all the way up to Route 30 via Martin Luther King, and I'm sure I'm going to miss one or two, but North Carolina Avenue, Virginia Avenue, the Delaware Avenue, the New Revel Boulevard, and even connecting New Hampshire Avenue, because that's the route into Gardner's Basin. Through that, we would be able to manage our public open spaces and be able to make them look beautiful, make them look special, so that for everybody's concern, everybody who lives and works here, but our special visitors too, let them know that this is a place that is cared for and attended to. So that's quickly on the tourism map. Let me not forget that on the map you'll see that big yellow blur. The yellow area within the tourism is the existing boundaries of the Special Improvement District. So one thing that will occur as we amend the boundaries of the tourism district, the Special Improvement District would have the same boundaries. So commercial properties within the district would pay that Special Improvement District assessment. And that will help us fund some of the costs of maintaining those open spaces and bringing up the maintenance and beautification efforts to a higher level. The legislation also requires that we adopt and impose land use regulations. This has been a major issue of discussion between CRDA and the city and the mayor. Specifically, he's very concerned about the loss of representation, local representation through planning and zoning boards. We are required through S11 to be the planning and zoning regulatory entity for the tourism district. And I'm not going to take a position as to whether that is appropriate or not appropriate. We weren't part of the scribing of that, but it's in the legislation and it's required that we do that. So we are gearing up to create an office for land use approvals. So if you have property within the district and you're looking for subdivision site plan approvals or any land use certifications for land use conformance, all of that would come to the CRDA, and we're gearing up now to be able to be ready to be in business after our board votes on April 19th. Part of that is we're required to adopt and implement development and design guidelines. When we look at our landscape out there, a lot of times it's a hodgepodge landscape. And there are some buildings out there that we have to say, why does that look like that? It's a fresh coat of paint, but why did they have to choose that color or close up something? We think that through some well-prepared design guidelines, we can provide some cohesiveness to the environment as it develops and as it renovates. We did this when we did the Boardwalk Facade program a few years ago. We had $100 million through the casino industry $50 million for non-casino properties and $50 million for casino properties. And the backbone of that were design guidelines. So any of the architectural teams had to refer to those guidelines to say, how can we really make the boardwalk look cohesive? So if anybody's noticed the new work on the boardwalk, that was all done under those design guidelines. We would adopt and implement initiatives to promote cleanliness, commercial development, and safety. You know, does anybody disagree with that?
No.
The interesting thing about what we can move forward with here is that if we look at some of the goals that we think can help reposition Atlantic City and improve Atlantic City, I'm sure 85 or more % of the things that we have to get done, we're all going to agree on. And if we just focus our efforts on those low-hanging fruits, those early opportunities, and get things moving, and let's not get hung up on the 15 or 20% of the things that we disagree on. Let's focus on the things we all know needs to happen and get the work done. We at CRDA are very geared towards being result-oriented. We will undertake redevelopment projects, nothing new for CRDA. We've always been on that mission. We will institute public safety improvements in coordination with security and law enforcement personnel. And this is very exciting because we are able to collaborate with the New Jersey State Police. The statute requires that there be a state police coordinator or commander that's dispatched to work with, not take over, but work with local law enforcement. And that's actually already begun. The Attorney General's office has dispatched one of the high-ranking members of the state police, and they've been working with Atlantic City police personnel to understand what some of the challenges are within the department. And the department has, they are a very good department. They have a lot of things that have been challenges for them, both on a management level over the course of several years, and from a technology investment perspective. CRDA is very happy that we can assist with some of the technology improvements for the police department. We're moving forward to work on assessments with the police department. And the goal here is to build the capabilities within the department and provide support externally where needed. You'll be hearing more, I think, this week about those efforts. State Police is looking to establish a quality of life task force with major stakeholder representation throughout the city. And they're also standing up an organization which brings all of the law enforcement entities to Atlantic City, because if you look at Atlantic City's law enforcement problems, or crime problems, I should say, and the challenges of law enforcement, it's a regional crime problem that is really attacking this city. And so the new group, through the VEST program, will bring the federal level agencies, the FBI, drug enforcement, the U.S. judiciary here to the table to really attack our problems, our sources of crime. And that will be a major game changer, because people who are operating on the criminal level, doing federal time, is a much different thing than doing state time. And that's what we'll be able to bring to the table here. So going forward, just to put this in context, this slide talks about the tourism master plan. The previous slide I talked about the land use regulation and enforcement. But in order to move forward with that, we must have some plan to work from. Now this has all been rolling forward at fairly lightning speed. The governor signed this law on February 1st, and we are required to, within 90 days, approve the district and begin implementing the land use function. We do not have at present a separate plan and zoning ordinance. So one thing that our board will be doing on the 19th, along with approving the map, is to adopt the current Atlantic City zoning and planning ordinances. because that's all that there is in place right now, and we have to have something to work with. However,